Hi all, and welcome back to a new video. I've been a bit quiet lately since obviously the Punchestown festival came to a close and therefore the major national hunt meetings have stopped. And I'm not particularly a big fan of the flat and also not the best tipster for the flat. So I've been quiet on this channel. But in this video I'm just going to quickly run through I think 10 flat horses that I've come up with. Some of them more obvious, some of them not so much, to keep on the right side of perhaps for the season going ahead. I know it's probably a little late to be doing it considering we're near the end of May, but I decided to put it up anyway. Also, just letting you guys know, I am, because I know some other people, they don't obviously put up videos on YouTube all the time, but they'd have a Twitter or something like that. I do have now an Instagram page where I put up tips, maybe daily, sometimes 3 or 4 times a week, but using a point system to calculate profit and loss and stuff like that. And so far it's been going quite well. So if you want to go and follow that page, feel free to do so. I'll drop the link in the description. But anyway, on to the 10 horses. And I think the first one here is trained by Richard Fahey in England called Nickys Angel. Won on debut at Musselburgh, this 2-year-old filly, before coming fourth in a listed race at the York Dante meeting. And that was a very good effort. It went off 4-1 favourite that day, but ran very well. The reason I say this is Richard Fahey has a fantastic record in the super sprint race. And I think Nickys Angel is a prime candidate for that, as she's very closely related and owned by the same owners as Maggie's Angel, who came third in the race last year for Richard Fahey behind Bengali Boys. I just think it looks to be mapped out in that way, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if Nickys Angel could take a nice 2-year-old prize at some stage this year. I've picked 2 Aidan O'Brien horses in the 10. I know, Aidan O'Brien obviously has heaps of horses to pick from, but I'm trying to pick ones that perhaps aren't just blatantly jumping off the page. And one of those I think is Giuseppe Garibaldi, who has run 4 times and is still a maiden. So obviously it doesn't look great on paper, but I just think this horse is dying for good ground, and it's just good ground that he has not received so far, especially in his 2 runs this year. His best run by a mile was last year in a back-end Group 3 race at Leopardstown, the Airfield Stakes, when running Flag of Honour quite close. And I think that's more what he could be like. And as much as I wouldn't say he'll win Group 1s, he could well develop into a group race performer in the summer on his favoured better ground. A horse I was very taken with and actually was a bit disappointed she lost last time was the Dermot well-trained Jaiga, who was second last time out to Bye Bye Baby, having won a Leopardstown maiden on Students' Race Day very impressively. I think there's still scope for improvement though out of Jaiga, as she's only raced it twice and she's still a 3-year-old and holds that vital Irish Oaks entry, and perhaps that could be where she'll be seen further down the line over more staying trips. Both her races I think have been over a mile too. She strikes me that she needs a mile 4 in time perhaps, and therefore I wouldn't put it against her winning potentially some quite nice races over a mile 4 this year. Also, a Dermot Weld trained horse that's on this list is a horse called Imaging, who I think could well run in the Irish 2000 Guineas this weekend. Has run already 3 times this season and won twice and come second the other time. And the second was a very good run behind Gustav Klimt in a Leopardstown 2000 Guineas trial. That was a very good race that day, I thought. Gustav Klimt obviously let down the form a little bit, but then is still favoured for this year, or for this weekend's Irish 2000 Guineas. So that still could be very good form in the book. And obviously if Imaging does run in the 2000 Guineas, we can maybe perhaps reassess where that horse might lie. Will he be a Group 1 or maybe a Group 2, Group 3 performer down the line? One for Joseph O'Brien, I think I've only got one for Joseph O'Brien in here, is a horse called Latrobe, who is still a maiden as well after 2 runs, but 2 seconds, and 2 very good seconds at that. One in a back-end maiden in Leopardstown last year as a 2-year-old, where it ran very well at odds of 20 to 1 with Wayne Lorden in the saddle. And then this year came out, I think, at Naas and was lost by a head to Hunting Horn, who then went on to be favourite for the Chester Vase. Now, he didn't run particularly well in the Chester Vase, but it probably shows you that it's not bad form in the book. And Latrobe is perhaps some horse that again could make out into Irish group races in time. Who's Steph for Ger Lyons has dominated the early fillies races, early 3-year-old fillies races in Ireland, has won 2 races at Leopardstown, 2 Guineas trials actually, and I think is running in the Irish 1000 guineas this weekend. So again, we're going to have a look at her after that. But there's no reason why she couldn't develop into a nice enough horse now that she's changed owners as well, which is always good to see. Also, a horse that was trained by Ger Lyons but won't be anymore is a horse called Lightning Quick, who I'm still not sure. I don't know who Lightning Quick is now going to go to because of the Ger Lyons Qatar Racing split that happened only a week ago. But Lightning Quick was, I think, their last winner as a combination in the Attersea Stakes on her reappearance, which is a very good effort. And she won a maiden at Leopardstown on her first start, defeating Bye Bye Baby, before being slightly out of her depth and perhaps a little green in the Rockfell Stakes at Newmarket at the end of last year. She came back in rude health, obviously, and perhaps there could be more races to win with her, either in Ireland or if she goes over to England to be trained there too. Back my horse for England from John Gosden's yard, it's probably pretty obvious, but Stradivarius, I think, is going to potentially mop up all these Cup races. I think actually Stradivarius is a better horse than Order of St. George. I think Order of St. George is slightly vulnerable these days. And Stradivarius, his performance at York just showed you he's still in terrific form. And he was such a rapid improver last year. I couldn't put it past him improving that bit more this year again and taking out all these races. I think they're going for some Cup bonus prize, I think. So therefore, I think I just don't see any other horse, certainly in England, that's going to stop him. Order of St. George, probably the only one. My second horse from the Aidan O'Brien yard, a bit more obvious than perhaps Giuseppe Garibaldi, but I still think there's more to come from the Pentagon. I don't know why it is. Maybe it's just a hunch. But his 2 races this year, the first one, you can completely ride a line through. He just hates heavy ground. And the second one was a bit better. I just think he needs more of a trip. I was really impressed by his 3rd in the Racing Post Trophy. Behind Saxon Warrior and Roaring Lion. That's shown up this year to be rock solid form. And he's going to run in the Derby, I think. Or if he doesn't run in the Derby, I suspect he'll run in the Irish Derby. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if he runs a bigger race than his intended odds will probably suggest. If he runs in the Derby, he could well go off 16 or 20 to 1, but I think he could run a big race. And my last one, bit left field, again more of a hunch, but the Roger Varian trained UAE Prince. He's now a 5-year-old, he's been gelded, son of See the Stars. It hasn't quite, I suspect, worked out for UAE Prince. I suspect they hoped for a bit better out of him. But I still think he's got a big middle distance handicap in him. His reappearance run at Newmarket, I think, to come second in a big mile 4 handicap was a top effort, almost making a lot of the running that day. And I just think there's something there. I think he's feasibly handicapped off a mark of 97, and the Son of See the Stars could well take out, or certainly be placed as in some of these middle distance handicaps. Anyway, there's 10 horses that perhaps you might want to keep the right side of. I certainly will be anyway, and hopefully that will prove to be good. The flat season, it's been good so far. Saxon Warrior obviously looks like the big horse for this year from the Aidan O'Brien stable for the Guineas Derby double, but we'll have to see. Flat racing is a difficult conundrum that I struggle to solve at times. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel down below and leave your comment of what horses you think to follow for the season ahead. And obviously, if you're interested in the daily tips, do follow the Instagram page, which I'll leave a link in the description below. Many thanks, best of luck.